Okay. So we're continuing. Where yes, the pasuk chet. We discussed the at least according to the Gaon, there were two angels that that are here to protect us, that we influence through our actions, our values, that report to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? And we addressed how this created, the efforts of the weakness of Shlomo HaMelech, and the fact that he went to sleep, and all that setback made him lose all those privileges with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, including the protection, etc. That we talked. The connection with the Talmidei Chachamim, the Torah, the sensitivity to Kedusha. And then Shlomo HaMelech says, Ishba'ati etchem benot Yerushalayim. Pasuk chet. I swear to you, I make you swear, Ishba'ati etchem benot Yerushalayim, daughters of Yerushalayim, im timseu et dodi, if you actually find my beloved one, what are you going to tell him? Sheholat ahava ani. I am fainting of love. I am sick from the love that I have for him. So to go on, he says, who are those Benot Yerushalayim? We know, according to the Malbim, that Benot Yerushalayim are the kochot aguf, right? The yetzer hara, the instinct. The Gaon says here, we're talking about the 12 angels that protect the 12 tribes that surround Yerushalayim Yerakodesh. Chachamim tell us that there are 12 angels representing the 12 tribes that get together and consolidate the Kedusha of consolidate and protects the Kedusha of Yerushalayim Yerakodesh, of the Beit HaMikdash. So Shlomo HaMelech, who built the Beit HaMikdash, who brought the Kedusha, he swears, and he says, Ishba'ati etchem, I swear to you, I vow in front of you, you have to swear to me, Benot Yerushalayim, you, those angels that allow the Shekhinah to reside and be protected, Kivyachol, Shekhinah of the King, in Yerushalayim. Im timseu et dodi, if you find him for me, tell him that I'm sick from the love that I have for him. I cannot continue living without the connection. And he says, after all the pain, after all the tzarot, after all the disappointment, after all the frustration that I've encountered, and that's Am Yisrael talking to Hashem, talking to the angels, to help Am Yisrael to connect to Hashem again. That's after the Churban, right? After during the Galut. I don't need to come and explain why I need HaKadosh Baruch Hu from a place of pain, from a place of disappointment, from a place of pogrom. This is not the conversation. Just tell him that I love him. Here we see the advocacy statement that Am Yisrael chooses to take to face HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to recall HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to and in order to connect. It's a very, very brilliant approach. A person has a disconnect, and there's a fallout. Okay, there's a fallout, and usually they both have good reasons. At least that's what people believe, right? We have a fallout, and I have my reasons. You have your reasons, and that's why we don't connect. And usually the approach is what? Well, even though you did that to me, all right, I'm willing to consider. That's usually what happens, I close my eyes. That's one approach. Yeah, I'm Israel taking a completely different approach. The approach of I need that love. Forget about it. I don't care. It's not what happened, how I disappointed you, how you disappointed me. All this is irrelevant. You get to a point where you understand, Shlomo understand it, Ramesh understand it, Am Israel understand that you get to a point where it's irrelevant. The reason of our disconnect, what's relevant is our connection. And it takes a tremendous amount of clarity, anava, okay, uh, selflessness, to get to a point where it's all about the love. It's all about our connection, nothing else. And that's what Shlomo Amina when he says sheholat ahava matagidu lo. You know what you're going to tell him when you see him. Not that I'm alone. Not sheholat ahava ani. That's it. The Malbim, the Malbim realizes Yishbati etrem by making his body. Benot Yerushalayim is his Yetzirah, his weaknesses, right? Malbim says Shlomo HaMelech realizes now that he will never reconnect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's finished. So he says, why? Because he sees the pasuk Betzauni Hashomerim, right? The survival instinct of my body took over me. Ikuni Betzauni, right? They awoke fear, they awoke sadness, they awoke anger, they awoke confusion, all the midot, all the emotional reactions that confuse a person. They narrow-minded me to a point where I cannot think clearly anymore as I used to think. So he realizes that that's it. I don't have the emotional power. I don't have control over my body and my instinct. And I don't have the intellect power to reconnect the way I want it. So I'm doomed. So he tells his body, I swear to you, and you will see. The day you will see my beloved, in the day that I die, because that's the day where I will rekindle with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and I will reconnect with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He says, שבעת ימצאו את דודה בעת המוות, ירגישו הם בו תחילה, אז יגידו לו שהיא חולת אהבה. He says when the person passes on, the tzaddik, the body of the tzaddik feels the connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu just like the neshama does. This is one of the phenomena that happened to a tzaddik. So he tells his body, you will be feeling what I felt, what my neshama felt. And you will realize, sheholat ahava ani, I died being sick for missing that love. So here, what's interesting is that there is a point where spiritual pleasure is translated into a physical pleasure. Because the body, even though the body is dead, it's still a body, it's still physical. But there is this moment during the death where the tzaddik actually enjoys the connection of HaKadosh Baruch Hu on a physical level, just like the neshama does on a spiritual level. Whatever that means. And he brings it that it's a Zohar in parts of the Zohar. Madoder midod. So now the Malachim, according to the Gaon Mivilna, according to the Malbim, is the Kochot HaNefesh, right? The body. And he says, Madoder midod. What's so special about your beloved from any beloved one? Hayyafa banashim, you, that's so beautiful. Madoder midod shekachash ba'atanu. What's so special about him? Again, repetition. Shekachash ba'atanu, that you make us swear, that you make us vow. that you put us in, that you force us, right, to go and look for him and tell him that you're so sick about the love that you're missing. What's so special? So here, the Gaon and the Malvi both say that we're talking about right now. Shlomo HaMelech needs to answer to himself, or Am Yisrael, to themselves. Okay, what am I really missing from Hakadosh Baruch Hu? Who was Hakadosh Baruch Hu to me? What's so special about this relationship that you're disrupting nature, right? That you're talking to you're making us, the angels, get involved in your problem, in your internal problems with Hakadosh Baruch Hu. What's so special? You're so beautiful. You Ayafa Banashim. So the Gaon says the repetition is because it's addressing two things. First, the first Madoder Midod, he says et mar'ehu, his 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 look. Tell me how HaKadosh Baruch Hu looked to you. You want me to go and tell Hashem that you love him so much and that you're so sick about this? Okay, that you need to tell me how he looks to you. You need to understand the type of relationship you have with HaKadosh Baruch Hu when you ask Hashem for the relationship. It's not just enough to say, I want a connection. What does the connection look to you? Is it HaKadosh Baruch Hu a supermarket where you go to and you take what you need when you need? Is HaKadosh Baruch Hu really a beloved? Is HaKadosh Baruch Hu a shield of protection? Is it a bank account? What is HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Madodech midod. Tell me who's HaKadosh Baruch Hu to you? Hayafa banashim. You that is so beautiful, says the Gaon. You want, through your desire and your commitment to do Torah, mitzvot, ma'asim tovim, you look so pretty. So, what are you really looking for? You have the Torah, you have the mitzvot, you have it. What are you looking for? And then Madodech midot shekachai shbartanu. He says the second one, is it Torot asalecha? Tell me all the good he did to you. Says the Gaon even here, when a person wants to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he needs to think. Number one, he needs to understand who's HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who's got him. What type of relationship am I looking for? A big question. Very big question. And number two, what if I know that, I also need to know, tell me all the Torot, all the good he's done for me. A person has to find his berachot. And together, he can actually go and start identifying HaKadosh Baruch Hu in his life and find, like you have, you're looking for somebody, they ask you for details, right? The height, the weight, the look, this, okay. So what man is saying, you want HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Okay, define HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Show him how you see him. Very scary. Very scary. Imagine you have a beautiful person, and then you say, okay, show me what you see, and it goes like, you destroy the whole look. You destroy the whole look. The Malbim says, Madodech Midod, the first Madodech Midod, he says, what's so special about this, your beloved, more than another beloved? He says, the body tells the Neshama, tells Shlomo HaMelech, the Neshama Shlomo, he tells, okay, you're talking to me about this extraordinary feeling that me, the body, will feel when you bury me, like you're feeling you, the neshama, right now. Okay, but what's the difference between this love, between the spiritual love for Hashem, and the physical love for fish or for women or for, what's the difference? מה הולך midot? כי בעינות הגבייה לא ירגישו מהות האהבה הזאת. The body cannot feel spiritual love. We've spoken about it, that the Gaon himself, right? That if you have a spiritual high, if you recall, and your body feels it, it's mostly the Yetzirah, right? We spoke. The Malim says it's not. The body tells the Neshama, I cannot feel the love. So what do you want from my life? What's the difference? Love is love. Obviously, by saying this, the body does not understand what spiritual love means, or the comparison is wrong. Right? The Malbim comes and tells us this is one of the flaws and the mistake men make. We tend to trade a spiritual high for a physical high. A high is a high. No, it's not. But and if you actually bring them together and compare them, like the Gemara says, you trade a cow for a donkey. So madodech midot. The body says, okay, what's the difference? First mistake. Madodech midot shekacha ishba'tanu says, give me, identify to me, what am I missing? Tell me what the body tells the neshama. Tell me what am I missing right now? Right? Tell me to'arav. Praise it to me. Simanav, give me signs. Give me something. I need signs. I need direction. I need concrete. Umama alotav. And what are all these the benefits and the traits that I'm missing here? The goof always tend to rationalize, right? And say, you're talking to me about Olam Haba. Olam Haba is Olam Haba. Okay? When we'll deal with it. Yeah, exactly. Let me live now. I want immediate results. I want the feeling. I want to understand. I don't understand. I don't accept it. The body challenges the neshama. When Malodech Midot, said, okay, bring it on. Bring me tangibles. Let me see. Let me feel. Let me taste. And then I can tell you, you know what? You're right. But until the moment of death, if you don't bring me the proper proofs, I hold you on, tight here, and you're not going anywhere. That's Pasuk 8. Pasuk Yud. Dodi Tzah, my beloved. So now there is a koteret, there is an introduction to the explanation of who my beloved is, right? The body or the malachim, Hashem, who is it? Well, tell me, right? Okay, first, in the title to the definition of who my beloved is. Dodi Tzah ve'adom dagul merevava. My beloved is white, is white skin, ve'adom, and red and reddish. Dagul merevava, and he's important, right? He's elevated above all, above thousands. So the Gaon says that here is the definition of Hashgacha. When you come to identify to what is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? According to the Gaon, is who is HaKadosh Baruch Hu to you? Am Yisrael said, Dodi Tzah ve'adom. Hashem is white and red. He says the white and the red represents the two contradictions that coexist together. In a sense, he is white. White, when you have pure white, you cannot identify anything. It's only once you have a color on the white that you can identify. Otherwise, it's unidentifiable. It says, This is the essence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You cannot pinpoint that. He's nistar. He's hidden. He's all white. It's everywhere and nowhere. You cannot. I can't. So I say I do not challenge the essence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I know I cannot understand it, but you know how I understand it? Adon, from the red. The red is midat adin. Is his behavior. His behavior. The way he treats the Yud Gimel midat ikarim, the Yud Gimel ikarim, the different midot of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the sirot of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, how he interacts with us. So this I understand. So there is a paradox where, on one end, I cannot comprehend who he is, but I know of him through his behavior. This is a definition of Klal Israel on who is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tell me about him. Dagul mi revava. Oh, so he says, and how? So he says, the dodi tzah, the white also represents mitzvot aseh. Adon mitzvot lo ta'aseh, right? And Dagul mi revava, he says the Gaon, there is an infinite. He's one of the thousand. He's above tens of thousands. Says the Gaon, his wisdom, or the wisdom that he has given us in order to understand who he is so wide. He says, there's 70 faces to the Torah. Each one has 600,000 explanations. And it's an infinite way to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And I think here the Gaon is saying something phenomenal. Phenomenal. On one end, there is my understanding of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So I know what I don't understand, and I'm okay with it. I know what I understand, and I'm okay with it. But I also understand that the wisdom he has given us in order to connect him is so broad that it's okay to argue and disagree. It's fine. We can have a mahloket, but you know what? It's so broad. There's so many different facets. At the end, we all reconnect, reconvene to the center. Says the Gaon Mivilna. This is the gadlut. This is the koach of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, of the chokhmah, the wisdom of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Is that we could say polar opposite things and yet find a place of connection. This is Mishnah, Gemara, Halachot. Everybody disagrees, right? Everybody disagrees. Yet we all find ourselves connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is the definition of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Who is Hashem to me? Hashem, I don't know who he really is, and I'm okay with it. Emunah. I understand the way he behaves with me, the structure, wisdom. Understand this is the binah. And you know what? I have tolerance, and I'm thirsty to realize that I don't have the right answer. There are many right answers. There are answers that fit me, and there are answers that fit you. And it's okay. It's okay. This is Achdut of Am Yisrael, Ahava of Am Yisrael. This is the definition for you to know. I find it phenomenal. Fantastic. And now, and obviously the Gaon and also the Malbim say, from that point on until the end of the Perek, will be the Gaon calls it Shi'ur Koma. Now is the structure, the size. Now we're sizing the Kadosh to our eyes. Now we're identifying it from now until the end. And we start with, it says, we start with Paz and we end with Paz. We're going to see it, the word Paz. The Malbim, along with the Gaon, says, Doditzah, Hashem is white. Why is it chesed? Ve'adon, but he's also red. Midat adin, judgment. He says it's important to understand that here we're identifying who he is. And that's all we find. At least the way Shlomo HaMelech identifies the neshama of Shlomo HaMelech, identifies HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You want to know how Shlomo HaMelech saw Hashem? This is how he saw Hashem. White and red. Din and chesed. That's his definition. We'll see what Dagul Merevava means in a second. But as his definition, very clear. Who is Hashem to you? To me, Hashem. Why? Nothing else. And he says, from here, what do we see? That this is the root of all the good and all the bad. All the outcome of what is good comes from chesed. All the outcome of what is bad comes from din. From din. Is a byproduct of din. That doesn't mean that din is bad. He says this is the pshat. So he said, on one side you have the chesed, and from the chesed and the din, together and eventually you get the rachamim, right? But essentially what do you have? You have the two facets. You have the chesed and you have the din. And he says, and this is pirush u'amakor letov v'ra. This is where the good and the bad comes from. He says, din, rachamim, tovot, raot, chaim, mavet, everything stems from this root. Dagul mirevava says he's above all, meaning he has all the kochot, every koach, every power you find in nature, every energetic influence you find in nature, from asters to constellations to animals, whatever it is. Dagul Merevava, he's on top of all this. And this is through the name Elokim, he says. That he's Ba'al Kol Kivutzot, Kol Kochot She'Ba'ashav Mitzvot. This is the definition of Hashem. Every strength, every movement comes from him. I mean, directly or indirectly, it makes you understand. We're not going back to the definition of Hashgacha. Like we spoke about it many times. The big machloket between the Rambam and Baal Shem Tov. He is behind every koach, everything that moves, everything that is static or non-static, okay, comes from him. There's nothing that doesn't come from the word Elohim in the creation. Okay, you need the Elohim for anything to happen. This is it, regarding the creation. And regarding his involvement, well, you're or on the right side or on the wrong side. That's it. There's no gray. There is no gray. The definition of it. This is according to the Malbim, how Shlomo HaMelech B'chudo V'atzmo lived with Hashem. 24/7. Everything is from him. And you side on the right side, or you side on the wrong side. There's no games. Very, very plain, simple. It's too simple. But that was his greatness. That was his greatness. So we see how, on one hand, the Gaon addresses the Hashgacha, right? And the Malbim addresses from a different angle also the Hashgacha, right? He addresses Chesed and Din. He addresses how we see Hashem's interaction with us. But that's what it takes. It's so fundamental. Both, according to the Gaon and according to the Malbim, are addressing such a fundamental approach. Do we ever think about who's Hashem to us? Of the image we have of Hashem? Maybe you see wrong. Says, and be careful. The Malbim says you can see HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Din and Chesed at the same time.
So then it's right.
Oh, that's exactly. He brings it exactly. So he says, "Uvnei Yisrael ha'alchu b'yabasha b'toch hayam." This is Chesed. They go on, and the Mitzrim. He made them go up and down. while he was protecting Am Israel, he was killing the Egyptians at the exact same time with the same koach. Remember the couple. You don't believe that you can drink at the same time water and blood? A kofer. It's to understand that basically here what Shlomo Melech is telling us according to the Malbim is that the chesed and the din are a reflection of your actions. Right? So before you turn on the right, you turn on the red. But you're the one turning it on and off all the time. So if I understand that this is how HaKadosh Baruch Hu interacts with me, then I'm basically dictating, I'm almost dictating HaKadosh Baruch Hu to be with me. That's it.
It's self-actualizing Hashem's interaction with you.
Yes.
Through your own actions.
That's right. That's right. So it's, on one end, it's empowering. It's a lot of responsibility.
It's scary.
And very scary. And very
it's a great chesed that Hashem gives us.
Yes. It's
the power
in us. That's right. That's right. That's right. I think I mentioned the right issue on Shabbat, no? In our family, there's a minhag. Morocco, but in our family, it's a big thing. To eat every Shabbat, in Seudat, make the bracha of Koreh Perei Adama before Hamotzi. Not going to the concept of whether or not you should make the bracha before Hamotzi or not. We're not going to this minhagim. Moroccans do, okay, so that we can have 100 berachot. Anyway, reach their own minhagim. Anyways, so we do the berachot and we do Koreh Perei Adama on radish. Why? The radish has something very particular to it. It's white inside, red outside, and there's a green stem coming out. According to Al Pi Kabbalah, the white we said is chesed, the red din, and the green is tiferet. The green is the tiferet, represents the tiferet. Tiferet is if you want the spinal cord of the midot. And why is it important to eat it? Because when you eat it, you crush the din, right? And you reveal the white, you reveal the chesed. So when we make the beracha on the radish, we're basically setting the tone for the week, where we're crushing the din and we're revealing the chesed of the din, holding on to the tiferet. So that's the so it goes very well with with what we learned here between the red and the white. We have Andy that just joined.
Mechila.
No problem. We actually, we just finished.
Oh, Hashem.
I have Stanley in the office with me actually right now.
Beautiful.
To do a live one.
Hi, Andy.
How are you, my friend?
How are you?
Spectacular.